Hey, I just wanted to apologize. Greetings Terrarians, Khaios here. Before my move, I used to hold a poll on my Discord server to see what timelapse build I should work on for the week, almost every week. I'm now bringing that back, and not too long ago I asked my server what kind of theme people would like to see me build for this timelapse video, and the overwhelming selection was Cyberpunk, which is precisely what I'll be building today. If you'd like to participate in the build poll for future polls amongst other events, or if you'd just like to hang out and chat with people in the community, feel free to join my Discord server. There's going to be a link to it in the description below. Now, I have never built anything in a cyberpunk theme before, and I knew the second that I put it on the list, it would be the one selected, and sure enough, here we are. So usually anything cyberpunk is really techy with a lot of metal and a lot of neon bright colors to it, which is precisely why I'm so unused to doing it. I rarely do anything with neon colors in it, so designing this build was quite the challenge for me. Instead of just having one build though, I wanted to do something a bit more substantial, as it wouldn't feel properly cyberpunk without a bit of cluster to it. But as I allow myself only 3 hours to work on timelapse builds, I wouldn't have enough time to do a full-blown cityscape. So I settled on creating just 3 structures for the build, whilst trying to make it feel like it's at least part of a city, as if things are really packed together. The 3 buildings are going to be a hotel, which is what I'm working on at this point in the video, a bar, and a restaurant. Since I just left Japan and I'm really missing it, I also included elements of Japan within this build, namely within the neon signs. Let me know in the comments if you can translate what the Japanese text says. I also wanted to mention that this build will be available for download, and that you can find my world download folder in the description below, as well as on Discord. But note that this was built in version 1.3.5 on PC, which means that it's not going to be playable on mobile devices until they reach that version of Terraria. I know many of you want me to build worlds that are playable on mobile, and I do have an adventure map that I made to celebrate the launch of the mobile update, but any other builds require that they're done on my phone, and let's just say that I'm pretty terrible at building on my phone. That said, I am practicing at it, and once that I feel that my building skills are up to the quality of my PC builds, I will start throwing in some mobile compatible builds into my video playlist. Until then, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So for each of the structures, I wanted them to have similar materials yet with different vibes, so I picked a different accent color as well as a unique style for each building. The hotel will be largely using amethyst gemspark block for its color. To get the neon open and hotel signs not to have the letters blend together, I alternated between 2 different gemspark types, and then I painted them using deep paint so that they look the same color. Since different kinds of gemspark block do not blend together, it allows you to clump these letters right next to each other without any sort of blending. Keep in mind that you will want to use deep paint on them as opposed to normal paint, because normal paint doesn't work very well with gemspark blocks. Additionally, I recommend against using diamond gemspark block when doing these neon signs, as even with a deep paint, these are going to be quite a bit lighter in color than the other gemspark variants will be, which will make every other letter look a little bit off. In order to get the concrete feel around the build, I used gray paint with palladium column and stone slab on the ceiling, as well as some white paint on Titan stone wall for the backgrounds, and this ends up being the case for all 3 of the builds. I also use various different walls for accenting, such as copper plating and copper pipe wallpaper. To further give this build a techie vibe, I laid down some dynasty wood that has been actuated and painted, because they kind of look like conduits, and then I made a computer monitor using some midnight confetti with some paint. I also found that the meteorite furniture works really well for a cyberpunk theme, and that's what I use primarily, with a couple of others dotted along the way, but the meteorite furniture has been painted gray. The doors in particular feel like a great fit for the theme. Once I was finished with the hotel, I started work on the lamppost right outside. As I wanted to be able to walk in front of this, I knew that I would need to actuate it, and as such, I painted all of the blocks on it white so that they would appear gray once they've been actuated. The supports that are holding up the midnight confetti signs are adamantite beams. When you use an adamantite beam next to palladium column, they blend together, and if you surround the beam with 3 palladium column blocks, you end up with a blended texture that makes it almost look like the beams are actually attached to the side of the pole. For the top of the lamp, I went with slime block because I wanted a smoother and rounder texture. Another thing that I did to add a little bit more ambience to the lamp is to place some diamond gemspark wall behind the titanstone block beneath the lamp, directly under any spot with gemspark block above. At night, this gives off a better illusion that the lamp is actually casting light onto the ground below. To the left of the lamp, I wanted to add a little bit more detail that would help make this feel more like a city, which of course means I wanted to add a trash bin. And I wanted to go a step further and do the cliche pile of trash next to the trash can that you can often see in cities. The pile of trash is made using some gray painted coralstone block, and you thought that block wasn't useful. Next up, I set to work on the bar. I wanted to accent this build with cyan so it would stand out even more against the purple of the hotel. I also gave it an arched roof rather than a flat one that I had just used in the previous building. For the neon sign, I wanted to add a martini glass to the top to further identify exactly what this building is on a glance, although I did end up adding the word bar next to it anyway. I decided not to give the building any windows because for some reason or another, most watering holes that I've ever set foot in have been windowless, and I thought it would be a really good fit for this. To further separate it from the hotel in appearance, I used some gray painted Martian doors, which I chose because they naturally have an ambient cyan glow about them, which just felt like a perfect fit for this building. Around the build, I placed some bottles, vases, mugs, and various different decorations which were painted different colors to give the appearance of there being several different kinds of drinks. After I finished work on the bar, I went back outside and I started to build a billboard. This is one of the details that I thought would be perfect to add in to help bring in the feeling of this actually being part of a city, because what screams city more than a gigantic building-sized advertisement? In order to give this a holographic feel that I wanted to go for, I used honey fall wall so that it would have a moving texture. The Japanese lettering, which was made using gemspark block with shadow paint, is off-centered on purpose. At the very end of the video, I wanted to go into T-Edit and add a little something extra to the billboard that I'm unable to do in-game even with the cheat sheet mod. Last up is the restaurant. Instead of it being rounded like the bar or a multi-story building like the hotel, I wanted this to be 2 side-by-side tiers so that it would have a unique feel to it. It is also accented with the topaz gemspark block, as the yellow color contrasts really well against the cyan and purples from the other buildings, allowing this to pop out a little bit more. On the roof, I wanted to do a different kind of neon sign. Similar to the martini glass, I wanted this building to be identified as a restaurant by the sign alone, so I went with a steaming bowl of food. On top of that bowl, there are some Japanese symbols that are made out of diamond gemspark block to make them stand out from the purple bowl. The word is actually one of my favorite foods from my time in Japan and something that I really miss. If you're wondering what that is, you're just going to have to translate the sign, or probably just read the comments, because I'm absolutely certain somebody will have translated this within minutes of me posting the video. If the Japanese text on the top of the building didn't make it clear enough, this is going to be a Japanese restaurant. As such, I felt it'd be a nice touch to use Dynasty furniture throughout the build. Even though this is a cyberpunk build, it's supposed to be techy and futuristic, I do like the idea that some of the buildings and restaurants would have more traditional furniture within them. I also did something a bit different with the background walls by using some offline gemspark walls to make a pattern panel. To get the pattern, all you need to do is alternate between 2 or more different kinds of gemspark walls in whatever pattern you wish to use. As with the neon signs, I recommend against using diamond gemspark block here, as it will be slightly brighter than the other wall variants. The large room on the left is meant to be the dining room, with a computer in the center for placing your order, while the room on the right is meant to be the kitchen. Once again, outside of the building, I added another futuristic lamppost, a couple of piles of trash, then I went into T-Edit, added my extra detail to the billboard, which you will notice right away, and a couple of small details here and there, which finished up my 3-hour build. And that's going to do it for my first attempt at cyberpunk themed buildings. I hope you all enjoyed them. Remember, if you'd like to vote on next week's time-lapse build, be sure to join my Discord server. There's going to be a link in the description below. I hope to see you all there. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. If all goes well and according to plan, I should have a video out tomorrow and then another one on Saturday or Sunday if I'm a little bit delayed. Until then, I'll catch you all later. Happy building!